Ooh. Okay. Let's do this now. Oh, let me get my earphones. Microphone. Sorry. Alrighty. Let me get this cat hair off the microphone. Alrighty. So I figured I might as well just get right into it. Actually, we'll give it a few more minutes. Let's turn on some jams while we wait. Alrighty. So I wanted to talk about why the traditional woman rhetoric and the notion that modern women aren't traditional, A, B, C, D, E. I just want to talk about why that's false and why I feel like the entire notion of wanting a traditional woman is entirely false. I feel like it's fraudulent and an excuse to not marry women and to not do right by women. And that's just something that, thank you, Lily, for scratching. That's just something that I'd really like to touch on. So, first things first, when I think of traditional, I think my brain and a lot of people's brains as well automatically go to the 1950s, right after World War II, baby boomers. That was a time when everybody was very family oriented. There were housewives, banker husbands, white picket fences, weekly family dinners, order, stability, those sorts of things. That's what I think of when I hear traditional. I think of just that era of time and those sorts of things. But that's not what many modern men want. Many modern men expect their women to be paying bills, have her own everything, her own car, her own house, her own everything, anything that you could possibly imagine a woman having. She's expected to have these things. She has to be able to bring something to the table. Think Donovan Sharp's last live stream with David West, in which he basically admitted that he chose the woman that he's with now because she's good with computers. So, they expect a woman with capabilities that can benefit them in the long run. They want you to play house for 8 years with them, give up the kitty right away, and more. This is just to name a few of the things that modern men today look for when they look for partners. And it doesn't go with the type of woman that they claim they want. The ideals and the standards that they have for their ideal partner is not the woman who they say they want. Let me flip the page because I wrote notes again. So essentially, in my personal opinion, the decline in marriage has to do with the fact that traditional men do not exist anymore, and not with the fact that traditional women do not exist. And the reason why I say this is because most men have no desire to marry, no drive to protect or provide. They believe they should be chased and fawned over. They require the validation that you give to an insecure child or teenager. They need constant validation and reassurance. And yeah, have no desire to create children. For the traditional woman that they claim they want. They claim that men control marriage, and I really believe that that's false, because if we're going off of traditional standards, plenty of you men would be rejected by this woman's father, brother, uncle, cousin, and grandpa, based on the way that you guys view life and the way that you guys go through it. And I'm saying it from a traditional sense, sorry, because in modern society has very much shifted. That I think we can all agree that modern society has very much shifted, and the gender roles have very much switched. Um, in the way that men aren't required to do the same things that they were once required to do. And women also are not required to do the same things that they were once required to do. Um, so yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like women are the final decider of a marriage. Really, the only thing you control is what kind of ring you're going to give her and when you're going to do it. But it's up to her to say yes, even in the modern sense. It's the woman's decision to say yes. At the end of the day, men are not the deciders of marriage. Men may decide who they want to marry, but they are not the final decider of if they get married or not. If a woman doesn't want to marry you, it doesn't matter what you think you're in control of and what you think your role is in the courting. If you were in control of marriage, in my opinion, it wouldn't be so difficult for modern men to find partners. Um, if you were in control, you'd have a lot more better idea, in my opinion at least, of what you're looking for. You wouldn't be scouring around for any woman that you could possibly get and then be surprised when she's not the woman that you want. Men who would, I guess you would say, be in control of the marriage, or the deciders of who's getting married and who's not, you wouldn't be asking the woman to marry you if you were the decider. um, so there's that. Traditional men are, well, what traditional men used to be. Were competitive, adventurous, highly protective. Their biggest job was to provide, which again, I will repeat, modern men do not want to do that. Modern men have totally rejected the notion of traditional masculinity and male gender roles, yet expect women to upkeep their side of gender roles, which it doesn't work like that. There's no way that you can just totally opt out of providing and protecting and expect women to still nurture and and um and bear children. There's no protection. Like, that's like having a baby out on the highway. Very unsafe. So, yeah, majority of modern men don't possess the traits of being protective, possessive, high earners, competitive, adventurous. Most of you guys are very meek, afraid, and feeble, for lack of better words, especially men in my age range. From the 18 to 25-year-old range, it is very rare from what I've seen at least, for men to approach women, to press the issue of wanting to be with that woman. It's just not something that's happening very often in our society anymore. And it's kind of troublesome considering the fact that men are still expecting women to be traditional women when, in the same breath, you expect us to cook, clean, and pay bills. Like, traditional women weren't paying bills. Traditional women didn't even have their own bank accounts. So, yeah, you're saying that there's a lack of traditional women, but then also saying you don't want to be a woman's bank account. Okay, well, traditional women didn't have their own bank account, so you're going to have to be a woman's bank account if you want a traditional woman. Okay, so next chunk of this that I wrote down is that in 2012, a survey study was done by, how do you say this man's name? Scaramouche and Fandango. I'm pretty sure is how you say this. Which concluded that modern men are a far cry from the well-mannered gentlemen of the 50s. And the same study also showed that over 60% of women would prefer a 1950s style man. And to revert back, a majority of men do not hold these standards. So well over 60% of men would say that they were well-mannered and gentlemen, less than 50% of women would agree with that statement, which kind of shows that I think that there's they have different standards for each other. Let's see, what else? What else have I written down here? Oh, I think that was actually everything. This was a very short live stream. It's only 10 minutes long. Wow. But essentially, yes. I think it's really stupid and silly to expect women to upkeep their side of societal traditional gender norms while traditional men, or while modern men today um, have no problem totally opting out of that and claiming that it's women's fault for it, but it's men who have opted out. It's not women who have opted out of traditional marriage, it is men. Yeah. So that's how I feel. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you want a traditional woman, you're gonna have to be a traditional man. There's no way in hell that you can expect a traditional woman when you want to be a modern man.